Okay, and off we go. So first things first, welcome to all you new UNLV Rebels. Everybody here at UNLV really is excited to have you as part of our campus community, but here at Lee, we are especially excited to welcome you. So first of all, my name is Stephen Sumner. My pronouns are he and him, and I am Lee's first year advisor, which means you're stuck with me for the next 2 semesters. Also joining with me today is Jason Kantrowitz, and he's also an advisor here in Lee, and I'm going to have him speak about himself in just a minute. We're going to do some housekeeping before we get ready to start the presentation. So before today, you should have received an email from LBS Advising that included some documents that you're definitely going to need to reference for today's NSO, namely your degree worksheet, and that's going to be a file that was sent to you by LBS Advising, and the file name is going to say something like Worksheet 2022-23, followed by your name and end sheet. The other document that you should have received is what's called an NSO plan. So that file name would be NSO Plan, followed by your name and student ID as well. Please keep these documents handy during the presentation. Now, if you did not receive that, first I want you to check your Rebel mail and maybe just do a search for LBS Advising. And that should have come out a couple of days before now. So probably sometime around Wednesday or Thursday of this week. If you do not have that, what I'd like you to do is in the chat box, I would like you to let Jason know that you don't have those documents, and he'll try to get those to you in case you didn't receive those, but I'm hoping everybody did. You'll also see images of and references to handouts, the ones that I just emailed you, and we're going to reference them by things like the purple handout or the pink handout. These should have been posted at Web Campus, and I'll try to get that updated as soon as I can. But like I said today, I emailed those to you. You were also asked in the email that contained the 2 files we just mentioned to download 4 of those documents to your computer so that you can refer them to today. So please try to find the email that I just sent you and download all of those documents so that you can see which one I'm referring to as we go through the presentation. All right, just a quick review of the advising portion of today's orientation. So 3 to 3:30, we're going to do the advising presentation. From 3:30 to 4, you'll be dismissed to go do the Web Campus course. And then you're going to come back at 4 o'clock, and we have up until 5 o'clock to do some Q&A for everyone. So just a quick intro of myself. I'm the first year advisor, as I said. So what that means is that I'm going to be your advisor until the end of spring next year. Okay, a little bit of information about myself. I have an undergraduate and graduate degree in engineering. Fun fact number 1 is that I'm fluent in Japanese. So I spent 15 years living and working in Japan in the computer chip industry before I came to UNLV. And as a result of that work, I actually have 2 US patents in my name. So that was kind of a bucket list item life thing for me. So happy to share that with you. And again, my role really is to support you all the way through the end of spring of 23 to ensure that you're ready to return to UNLV for your second year, feeling on track and feeling confident about your first year. Okay. Now, Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and maybe share a fun fact, and then let the students know which students you advise.
Sounds good. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Kantrowitz. I advise students with last names beginning with C through F. So I see one of my students are in here today after you're done working with Stephen and after your first year here. As far as fun facts are concerned, I guess a fun fact is I've been working with university students for over 25 years. So that's kind of cool. And I'm also a big NFL football fan. I also like to scuba dive. So those are my fun facts for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. So from here on out, we're going to go really quickly because we're on a tight schedule. So I apologize if I'm talking really quickly and covering a lot of information quickly, but I want to make sure that we stay on track. So let's jump right into the deep end. This is your business degree worksheet, which all of you should have received by email, and hopefully you're looking at it as I speak. Again, if you did not receive this document for some reason, please put in the chat box and let Jason know, and he'll try to email those to you right now. So what exactly is a degree worksheet? This is your roadmap to graduation, and that is just as important as it sounds. In this document, you will find all the courses required to graduate with your business degree. Here we have it broken down into 4 sections. Purple is going to be for general education, more commonly referred to as Gen Ed. Yellow is going to be for general electives. Gray is for pre-major courses. And finally, the green section here are for specific major requirements. So you and your advisor are going to use this sheet to literally stay on the same page each semester as you make progress towards degree completion. Before we start with Gen Ed, it is important that you keep in mind your catalog year. Requirements for all classes on your degree worksheet may vary depending on your catalog year. So for example, if you are looking up something in the online catalog, it is critical that you're using your specific catalog year. And this can be found at the top center of your degree worksheet. FYI, your catalog year is 2022, 2023, and it will likely never change. So please try to remember this. Now on to Gen Ed. Gen Ed courses are areas of study that are required by all UNLV undergraduate students regardless of their major. However, these requirements may differ by colleges within UNLV. You business students will always want to refer to the purple handout. So this is one of the things that I just emailed you. You're going to want to refer to the purple handout to choose general education courses for certain areas of study, especially humanities. One good thing about Gen Ed courses is that there is a large variety to choose from for many of your requirements. So take some time to investigate your options and find classes that look interesting to you. Next is the general elective section. Most students, even after completing all of their general education and business course requirements, will still not have the minimum 120 credits required for graduation. Therefore, most students will take general electives to reach the minimum credits needed for graduation. But in other instances, transfer and AP courses may be used here if they do not satisfy other requirements for your business degree. The cool thing about a general elective is that it is literally any course that you want to take and are eligible to take here at UNLV. So if you find yourself needing to choose general electives, that is the time to really explore your curiosity about almost any topic. So make fun use of them. Now on to perhaps one of the most important parts of the degree worksheet for you at this point in time, pre-majors. Please pay close attention to this section, especially the items in bold Rebel Red, as they likely will come up on the web campus quiz. So what is a pre-major? Well, these are the 9 courses that you need to complete with a C grade or better, mind you, before you can apply to your specific business major like finance, international business, or accounting. So no matter what major you eventually want to pursue, except the Bachelor of Arts in Economics, you will need to complete these courses. Another important fact about pre-majors is that you will only have a maximum of 3 attempts to earn that C grade or better. Finally, a heads up to those of you intending to pursue one of the most popular and most academically rigorous majors within Lee, accounting. You will actually need B- grades or better in your pre-major accounting classes, Accounting 201 and Accounting 202, in addition to C grades or better in your other pre-majors to be eligible to take courses in the accounting degree program. Now, a quick note about the pre-major exception that I mentioned for the Bachelor of Arts in Economics. This degree only has 3 pre-major courses, Econ 102, Econ 103, and Econ 261. This degree is unique in that it allows students to more easily combine other areas of study outside of business or do multiple majors. Finally, we're down to the upper division and major courses. FYI, upper division refers to 300 and 400 level courses. For these, we'll start at the top of this section with Business 321. Business 321 is required by all BSBA students, but it is unique in that it is the only upper division business course that you can take without being admitted to a major. You can take this course as long as you have eligible grades in Com 101 and English 102. Next, we see the upper division business courses. Again, similar to Business 321, all BSBA students, and BSBA, by the way, stands for Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. All BSBA students will take these courses with the small exception that accounting majors have their own class in lieu of Business Law 302. And, shocker alert, you must earn a C grade or higher in all of these courses as well, and you only have 3 attempts to do so. Finally, at the bottom of your degree worksheet are your specific major courses. These are the courses which will vary drastically among majors, and this section will be populated with your specific major courses after you have been admitted to your major. And guess what? You have to earn a C grade or better in all of these courses, and you only have 3 attempts to do so. So yes, I think you have picked up on the theme here. So exactly what areas of study are housed in Lee Business School? Of course, we offer the very popular and perhaps most academically rigorous accounting major, alongside traditional management, marketing, and finance majors. However, Lee has some perhaps lesser known, yet highly valuable and uniquely Vegas-specific majors, such as real estate and urban economics, entrepreneurship, and accelerating in popularity information systems, because all those casinos and gaming companies have lots of data and need people who know what to do with it. Lee also offers variations on traditional business degrees with its international business and management with HR concentration majors. Finally, Lee offers 2 different economics degrees. One is the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and the other is the Bachelor of Arts degree that we mentioned earlier. If you think you might be interested in economics as a major, you should definitely talk with an advisor early on about the difference between these 2 degree programs. In the meantime, you can always find details for the BSBA and BA programs in economics in the undergraduate catalog. Now, you may have noticed that your major is currently Business Pre-Major, or BUS-PRE. Again, this stands for Business Pre-Major, and before being eligible for a specific business major, for example, accounting or real estate, students must meet certain requirements that we've touched on a little bit and we'll review again next. This means that upon admission, all business students have the same major of Business Pre-Major, as opposed to management major or marketing major, or finance major. That is until they have met all of the pre-major course, GPA, and credit requirements to apply to their specific majors. Okay, so let's take a look at the gray handout. As you hopefully are sick of hearing by now, all pre-major courses must be passed with a C grade or better within 3 attempts or less. However, there are more requirements to be admitted to your specific major. First, at the time of application, you must have 55 credits completed or completed plus in progress. And finally, at the time of application, your overall UNLV GPA must be 2.75 or higher. Now, since all of you business pre-majors should be good in math, hopefully you've already figured out that it will be pretty difficult to have a 2.75 overall GPA if you only get the minimum C grades required. Okay, so again, a C grade is a 2.0. And if you only get 2.0s, you're not going to have the 2.75 you need to get into your major. This means you really have to keep an eye on both your pre-major course grades and your overall GPA as you approach applying to your major. Okay, so before we continue, I have just a quick question. If you are a Nevada resident, I would like to know if you would not mind just giving me $900. Okay, and again, this is not a loan, by the way. And if you don't happen to have $900 that you can, float to me, maybe you have 44 hours of your time this coming semester that you'd like to just give to me, run errands, unpaid, and do whatever I'd like you to do. Okay. If you're an out-of-state resident, let's up that $900 to, let's say, $2,600. Okay. And again, this would be a gift, not a loan, just extra money that you don't need. And I would also like you to have 44 hours that you'd like to volunteer to me. Okay. I'm guessing everybody's shaking their head like, no, that's not something that I'm into. The reason I bring this up is because if you take a class that you do not need, that's basically what you're doing. Okay. So a 3-credit class for a Nevada resident is about $900 a semester. If you're out of state, it's about $2,600. Okay. I don't think anybody on this call has that kind of money just to throw away. But as I said, that's exactly what you're doing if you end up taking a class that you don't need. So advisors such as myself and Jason are here to keep your academic train on the right track, headed to the right destination to get you there at the right time. However, you need to visit us once a semester to make sure you're taking the classes that you need and not throwing away $900 and 44 hours of your time every semester. Okay, so this is regardless of whether you're rocking the dean's list or you're really sweating your GPA for the semester. We're here to help you understand your academic requirements, which can sometimes be tricky or counterintuitive. We're here to help you explore your interests and goals and help you develop an undergraduate academic career that complements your interests and goals. And yes, of course, we also offer course suggestions, but please don't think that's all we can do for you. So please make an appointment once a semester to stop by, say hi, review your progress, and let's talk about your next steps. Lee Advising currently has 7 full-time advisors, and we all have advanced degrees, and all we do is advise. So we're not distracted with other duties here on campus. We're available for either 30-minute appointments or quick 15-minute drop-ins. Now, if you sign up for a drop-in, you may not get your assigned advisor. Okay, so just FYI on that. But really, we serve as your best living search engines to help connect you with resources on campus. So please take advantage of our services. Especially as your first year advisor, I want you to know, and please hear me when I say this, I am here for you. I want to make sure that you're not suffering in silence, you're not stuck and not sure who to talk to about it, that you're not confused or frustrated, and you don't have anybody to help you get out of that state, okay? That's why I'm here, and honestly, I love talking and helping with students, okay? So please never be afraid to reach out to me if you're feeling stuck or struggling or frustrated with anything. All right, now that we have walked through the structure of your worksheet and your business degree itself, let's bring it back around to the here and now. So the first thing that you should know is that you are already enrolled in classes for this coming fall semester. So, phew, on that account, you can relax. These courses you will find in the attachment that you received earlier from LBS Advising. And again, the file name will start with Nso Plan, followed by your name and student ID. Okay, so make sure that you've got that up right now. You were registered in these classes by myself to ensure that you have a full fall schedule to start with, and especially one that includes math if you need it. But then you say, wait, I have no interest in taking 8 a.m. classes. I have a job that starts at 4, so I need to get out of courses on time, etc. On that count, you can also relax. It's important that you understand that you will be able to swap times for the same course that I've enrolled you in, and in some cases even drop and replace it with a different course if you need to. Just be very careful, especially when you're doing this without discussing with me, that when you replace any kind of courses, especially general education ones, that at a minimum, you are referencing the purple handout that I just emailed you at the beginning of this meeting to make sure that you're choosing appropriate replacements for courses. And just one important note, if on your NSO plan, there is an asterisk beside any of the courses listed there, that means you must first talk with me before you make any changes, including time, okay? Also, any math class cannot be dropped or replaced without permission. That means that if for some reason we need to modify your math course, you're not going to be able to do that on your own. So you're going to have to reach out to me and we're going to discuss what you need to do there. But as I said, you are, however, able to swap sections and times of all other classes. But dropping math or classes with asterisks requires permission from me, your academic advisor. All right, back to math and English a little bit. As I said previously, math and English are foundational to everything else you're going to study here at UNLV, and of course they are required for graduation. But if you're wondering why you're enrolled in a specific math course this semester, you'll find the answers on the pink handout that I emailed you at the beginning of this meeting. Now, a word about English. You're not going to be put into English until spring. So depending on the college that you're in, you're either going to be enrolled for math in your first semester or English in your first semester. As a business student, you all have been enrolled in math if you need it, and nobody on this call should have been enrolled in an English class, okay? But if you're wondering why you were put in a specific math class, look on this pink handout. and you're going to see a table that shows what ACT or SAT score, or perhaps you have engaged with Aleks, the UNLV's math placement assessment already. This pink sheet is going to tell you what score puts you or makes you eligible for which math class. As I mentioned, you were enrolled in a math class by me based on your placement scores or possibly transfer credits that you earned in high school from a higher education institution. Typically, our business students are going to start in Math 124, and then they will progress to Math 132. Math 132, by the way, is a pre-major course and will satisfy the math requirement for your business degree. Other students who place higher than Math 132, you were still enrolled in Math 132 because pre-calculus and calculus is not required for any of our business upper division courses. If you are a student who scored higher than Math 132 and you really want to take a higher level math course instead of Math 132, you may do so. Just remember that it's not necessary to do so, and you will have to discuss with me to allow you to switch that math course. Now, it may be the case that some of you believe that you should have been placed into a higher math class. The good news is that you still have time to try and place into a higher math class if you would like to. UNLV offers two programs to help incoming students place into math courses. These are the Aleks program and the Summer Math Bridge program. Aleks is an online adaptive mathematics placement assessment that has targeted learning modules that are based on your strengths and weaknesses. Scores required for either of these placement options are listed in the charts to the right on this slide, and of course, where else, the pink handout. Finally, while I mentioned this once before, it bears repeating, you may not drop any math class until or unless you have placed into a higher level math. Once you have evidence of this placement, you'll work with me, your advisor, to change math courses. Okay, just a quick note about English. As I said, nobody here is enrolled in English for the fall semester. I will be enrolling you in English for your spring semester, but that's the only course that I'll be enrolling in. You'll have freedom over your scheduling starting with the upcoming spring semester. As I mentioned, you can find placement information on the pink handout. And unless you placed into English 102 or earned AP credit, you're likely going to be enrolled in English 101 or English 113 if you are a non-native speaker of English. So if that applies to you and you're interested in taking the alternative English 113, let's talk about that this fall when we talk about what classes you need to take in the spring. Okay, so please make a note to yourself if you think that applies to you. So depending on your placement scores, you may also be enrolled in what we call Co-Requisite English. So what this is basically English 101, but you must take two other courses to help supplement your learning based on your English placement scores. So if these courses end up appearing on your schedule for the spring, that means that they have to be taken alongside your English 101 class. And again, I want to highlight that if you are an international or multilingual student, or English is not your native language, you may switch English 101 for English 113 in the spring. And again, if this is the case, please send me an email or a reminder after orientation today. All right, as we move down the prioritized list of courses for scheduling, we run up against your pre-major courses. We spent a good bit of time discussing the importance of these courses, but I want to take a moment and talk about eligibility for these courses in your first year. So many of you will see COM 101 on your schedule for fall, but you will not see IS 101. And that's because it's a remote class and we don't want students, first year students in their first semester taking online only courses if we can avoid it. But these are the only two pre-major courses that don't require any kind of placement score. So that means that any first year student can take these courses regardless of your math or English scores. Many of you will see, like I said, that you're enrolled in COM 101 as an example. However, all other pre-major courses require some level of math placement score to enroll, or English when we talk about English 102. So English 102 requires a 30 or higher on the ACT English section or 660 or higher on the SAT verbal section. Alternatively, if you received AP credit for English 101, that means that you'll be eligible to take English 102. As for math and economics courses, students need math scores of 24 or better on the ACT and 580 or better on the SAT to enroll in these courses if you do not already have credit for Math 124 or 126. Finally, we wrap up with general education and the good old purple handout. Make sure you save this somewhere that you're going to remember, because I guarantee I'm going to be asking you to reference this in the fall when we talk about your spring courses. With the exception of English, as I said, you will be enrolling yourself in classes for spring, and you're definitely going to need this sheet to do that. As you recall, Gen Ed courses are from areas of study that all UNLV students must take and pass in order to graduate. However, as I also mentioned previously, these requirements can vary by college. In the case of Lee, all of our students will automatically fulfill social sciences requirements, so it's important that you don't unintentionally take these classes, right? Or else you're giving somebody $900 of money and 44 hours of your time that's not going to get you anything. Similarly, since Com 101 is a pre-major required course and is also a humanities course, that means that automatically one of your 2 humanities courses will be fulfilled. However, you will still need to take one other humanities course, and that course cannot be a communications course. Is your head swimming yet? This is exactly why we created this purple handout. This handout has already taken into consideration how your Gen Ed requirements work with your business degree. So make sure you are choosing general education courses from this list if you decide to replace classes on your schedule. Also, you'll notice that there are multicultural and international course requirements. These are the only Gen Ed requirements that can be fulfilled by taking other required courses. So I'm going to just take a second and walk through a couple of real quick examples. Okay, so everybody has to take what we call life and physical science courses, and you need 7 credits. One of those science classes requires a lab, one of them does not. So if you look on the sheet, the purple handout, you're going to see that Astronomy 103 will satisfy one of your general education non-science lab requirements. However, if you add Astronomy 105 to that, now you're satisfying a science with a lab requirement. Alternatively, some classes like Biology 100 has a lab built into it. So if you take that class, you're going to automatically satisfy your education, your science requirement with a lab. As we discussed, Com 101 is going to satisfy a general education humanities requirement and is also a business pre-major requirement. When we talk about US and Nevada constitutions, History 100 is a 4-credit course that's going to cover both US and general education Nevada constitutions. Political Science 101 is the same. However, you could combine History 101 with History 102 to satisfy your Nevada and US Constitution requirements. So there's a lot of information on here that you're going to have to learn how to piece together in order to successfully complete your general education requirements. And the purple handout was custom made for business students in order to do that. Okay, now that we have discussed courses and which ones are required for what, I want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and introduce you to the Undergraduate Catalog. The Undergraduate Catalog is the rule book for your time as a student here at UNLV. So along with courses and course descriptions, etc., it also contains extremely important information about university and academic policies, admissions requirements and policies, academic calendar, financial aid, etc. So please familiarize yourself with the catalog, because while there are a lot of people here at UNLV and Lee to help navigate your way towards graduation, including yours truly, it is important to remember that you own your academic career. And part of that ownership is understanding your requirements, and that also requires spending some time in the catalog. The catalog for your year was just released, and it is for 2022-2023. So if you remember at the beginning, I said your catalog year is always 2022-2023. So if you use the online catalog, you want to make sure that that year has been selected. Now, I've received a lot of emails leading up to orientation from many of you asking about a lot of things regarding your first semester here. Most of these topics are going to be covered in the catalog, and I've provided some information on this slide to help you navigate a lot of common topics. So first of all, please keep in mind, as I said, that your catalog year is 2022-2023, and you need to make sure that that's the catalog you're choosing when you're using the online catalog. In the catalog, you can find not only Lee majors and minors, but you'll find majors and minors for all the colleges. Also, I've received a lot of inquiries regarding AP credits and their equivalencies to course credit here at UNLV. These can also be found in the catalog, and I've listed some specific information here. So if you go to the catalog, catalog.unlv.edu, and you select admissions information, and then you select non-traditional credit, you're going to find a list of all the different credentialing organizations that provide students with college credit, including AP and CLEP and International Baccalaureate. Okay, so if you're curious what your AP credit equates to, you can go here in the catalog and find out. Now, just a quick note that doesn't apply to many of you, but I wanted to let you know that the maximum number of credits that you can enroll in as a freshman, which is defined as a student who has 29 earned credits or fewer, is going to be limited to 17 credits. Okay, that will increase to 18 once you become a sophomore. While the catalog covers university-wide policies, as I said, it also contains Lee-specific information as well, including topics we've already discussed. The minimum C grade policy, for example, that applies to all your pre-major and business courses, as well as prerequisites to some of those business courses. You also may only attempt each of these courses a maximum of 3 times, after which, if you cannot earn a C grade or better, you will be disqualified from pursuing a business degree. Admission to major requirements can be found in the gray handout. So we just looked at that a minute ago. It had your pre-majors, it had your GPA requirement, it had your credit requirements on there. That's the actual application that you'll eventually use to get into your specific major, okay? And we'll cover that a little bit in more detail later. Finally, some of you took courses at CSN, Nevada State, or other institutions while you were in high school and earned some college credit potentially. The blue handout, which is actually for transfer students, will have some information that may be helpful for you if you're one of these students regarding the transfer of credits from other schools. Nearly all of you are going to be enrolled for Business 103 in the fall. The only reason you wouldn't be is if you're coming in with 30 credits or more from another school. So Business 103 is the first year seminar for business students, and it's also a general education requirement. As part of this class, you're going to be connected with a peer mentor who is also a current student at UNLV. The peer mentors are experienced business students who are going to help answer questions about campus and community life. They're going to help you connect with student organizations and university resources. And sometimes they're just going to be there to listen to you as you freak out, have a panic moment, whatever, and support you as you adjust to your new life here at UNLV. The great part about the peer mentor program is that not only do you get access to awesome seasoned students for advice, but you're also going to receive Business 103 class credit just for meeting with your peer mentors. Another resource for first year students to help connect with other business students is the student is a student organization called Lee Business Connections. This club is a social one, so it's not an academic club, and it exists as a place for all business students to get together, network, discuss courses, make study groups, and just have fun once in a while as a community, okay? So why not start today by following them on Instagram by searching at Lee Business Connections. All right, I know we have covered a lot of material in a short amount of time, and I'm sorry for rushing through it, but I hope that you will download this presentation later in the Web Campus course. So where do you go from here? First things first, make sure you begin monitoring and using your Rebel Mail. This is the only means of email communications that people like me, UNLV staff, can use to contact you, so please make a habit of checking it. Also, you need to get your immunizations if you have not done so. You will be dropped from all of your in-person classes if you don't take care of this before classes begin. Next, make sure you have your Rebel card. Buy a parking permit if you need one, and buy books. Also, please put August 26th on your calendars for UNLV Creates, which is a huge, big, fun kickoff event for all students coming in for the fall. This is also your first big chance to start meeting other new Rebels. All right, thanks for sticking with me through this Lee Advising presentation. In closing, I just want to leave you with a few takeaways. You know, I had to throw some business lingo in there. So first of all, yes, Lee Business is super cool with lots of interesting majors that you may not have even known about before today. Explore your curiosity before you have to choose a major. As a pre-major, you have time to look around and think about this. See if there's something else that may excite you. I know many of you will be tempted to change your schedules, and as long as you're not trying to drop math and English in the spring, that's fine. Just be careful about what changes you're making and do check them against the purple handout, because when in doubt, use the purple handout. Finally, call your advisor. I want to hear from you, and I'm sincere about that. Check in with me. If you're feeling any certain way about things and you feel stuck and you're not sure who can answer questions for you, reach out to me. Small decisions this year can have a big impact later on. So let's make sure that you're making the best choices possible and that you stay aware of all of your opportunities. So with that, I just want to thank you so very much for your attention today. And again, let me welcome you to Lee and UNLV. And that is the end of the presentation. I'm going to stop the recording. And